Everton undoubtedly had their worst performance of the season on Monday night, but they can't dwell on such an abominable failure. After all, this weekend undoubtedly marks the most important game of the period, as they host Nottingham Forest, also a relegation fighter, at Goodison Park. Hopefully, such an embarrassing defeat will spur these players back into action following their return from Chelsea. But there has been a serious dent in the confidence of the fans, both in this team's ability to secure safety and in the manager. It's hard not to point the finger at Sean Dyche, given the tactical naivety with which he set up his team at Stamford Bridge. Well, those murmurs have clearly risen up the food chain. Journalist Mark Douglas conducted an in-depth analysis of everything related to Everton. And man, there's a lot to cover. From acquisition dramas and the PSR controversy to even dreadful performances on the field. It's as tough a time as any to be an Evertonian. Nevertheless, the support remains unwavering, and this Sunday promises to be one of the biggest and most crucial displays at Goodison Park yet. That is, if disgruntled fans can get behind Dyche after his team's woeful showing on Monday. Indeed, one of the key points in Douglas's article was about the future of the 52-year-old. He said, "There have been some calls from supporters for a change of manager, but I understand that Sean Dyche is not under threat despite the desperate situation. Given the club would already be safe were it not for the points deductions, that seems a fair view, even if frustration with the extent of Monday's collapse is justified. Should Everton sack Sean Dyche? Well, as much as this is a subjective decision and each fan will likely have their own opinion on whether Dyche should stay in charge, the fact is nothing can really be done at this stage. Objectively speaking, Everton is stuck. Having appointed the former Burnley manager at the end of January 2023, he's been handcuffed from minute one. And while that doesn't excuse this torrid run with just one Premier League win since December, it does offer crucial context along with the accumulated 8-point deductions. But even if the Toffees did want to make a change, there are still several hurdles in the way. Firstly, the murky ownership situation raises the question of who would make such a change. Farhad Moshiri has disappeared and seemingly stopped injecting his money into the club. And that poses another problem. Who would foot his contract? If they can't even afford to keep the lights on without loans from 777 partners and other creditors, where will they find the funds to firstly pay out Dyche's contracts? And secondly, attract a new man who would improve their coaching staff? Firing a manager is always a long and expensive process, and Everton simply can't afford it, both financially and emotionally. Whether fans like it or not, they're stuck with Dyche, and all we can do now is support them once again and hope they have what it takes to survive the drop for the third consecutive season. Leave that big like and share this video with your friends.